Okay.
Yes, now we can.
Hi. All right. So this is the first hybrid event that I'm ever doing. I don't know about you guys, but it's mixture. So Amy spoke about that. I want to speak about a few things. First of all, it's been a year or more, even since COVID started. And right now here in Israel, we're starting to get back to life, sort of. We still want to be cautious. However, I think this past year was kind of a year that got all of us thinking more about our priorities, what is important in life and what is less important. And for us, at least at Good Company, it was exactly that. And I bet every one of you remember exactly what he did or where he was a year ago when we started hearing about this China originally virus, and we didn't really believe it's going to hit us, and it did, and you know, taught us a few lessons in life. And today we're talking about the future of work. And when we think about the future, so a wise man told me that the future will probably look a lot more like the present than the past. And think about the future of work specifically. This is what we at least envision for the future. So we will be in this hybrid mode for quite a while now, specifically about travel and how we work also globally. We've seen this challenge allowed us to see the current trends in terms of technology innovation within this space. And you're going to see companies presenting today dealing with employee benefits and retention. That's like the big hot topic that we've seen. We've seen over 60 companies in Israel, just to give you like an overview. We saw companies dealing a lot with social connections. So how are we going to build company culture? How are we going to interact within our teams in the future? Obviously, the hybrid office, combining physical and virtual. And a big other topic was hiring, how we are doing hiring in a much more efficient, but also non-biased and more inclusive way. So I'll start with the thank yous, and then we can continue. First of all, thank you for the startups. It's not trivial, and we thank you for taking part and applying and going through the semifinals and speaking to our judges and partners. And we hope you get a feeling of the value that we are giving you already, and if you don't, you should. So that's one thing. Secondly, to our partners. So first and foremost, to WeWork, that really pulled this off together with us and give us the kickstart. And then to SAP and to Monday.com, Commit, Meitar, Leumitech, and AWS. And a special thank you to Stiva that hosting us today. And specifically, this office belongs to a company called Tulip Entertainment, and they provided those Wonder Woman giveaways. So, and some of you already heard what they're doing. Now, thank you, Shachar, my partner, who's really been a huge promoter. I don't know if anyone knows this, but Shachar is a huge promoter of work and the future of work in the past years. It's not something that he started right now, and specifically in inclusivity in the workplace. And the last but not least is Amy, that really did everything to make this happen, and she worked around the clock and really pulled us through. So this is the first of many events that we're going to have in different areas that we are Good Company is interested in. Thank you to our backers that made it possible. And without further ado, Amy, right? I can give the stage to the first startup.
Yes.
Who's online? Yes. Give me one slide further. I'll present the judges. Just highlight the presentation for a second. The Chrome. Oh, no, one slide up. Missing a slide. All right. So the judges here with us today, Yael Gal from SAP, the global, not global, but EMEA lead for HR, right? Correct me if I'm wrong with the titles. We had the slide, but I don't know where it's gone. Amit from Monday.com. Sorry, Amir is a good friend from Monday. Benji, the head of WeWork Israel, and Rotem together with him. The judges at home, Tigis, also from WeWork, Nurit from Leumitech, and Ravit Sasson from AWS. Hi Ravit. I don't know, where are you? Okay, so we're ready, Amy? And Shachar is also here. He's in New York. No, but you need to promote him to panelist. It started.
Okay. First up is Maya from Skillset. Maya? I have a microphone here. Yeah. I'm set up.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Maya from Skillset. You have the clicker. Great.
I need to speak to the microphone? For short people also? Okay. Can I start? Okay.
This is the slide I was
Hi, Skillset is here to create a new job matching startup that for the first time will replace the ineffective process of CV sorting and sourcing. So we are all familiar with that, the biased problem of CV sorting. And I think that it's still surprising that despite innovation in technology, the first step of applying to a job is still using CV for most, like 90% of jobs. And this process is still keeping millions, billions of people around the job market, outside the job market. And I mean, every person with resumes do not reflect his skills. So I'm talking about people on career change. And when you look right now on COVID, there's billions of people forced into career change that their resumes do not reflect their skills. And again, diversity, population, all kinds of diverse population, and these numbers are growing. And Skillset is here to change that. So the first time, Skillset is an AI SaaS job compatibility platform that provides the opportunity for job seekers to experience the job even before applying to it, and for companies reach pool of candidates they couldn't reach before and interview just the right talent into the job. And let me take you into our product. So first, the prospective candidate enters our platform, sharing the interest, and is being offered by to take part at a couple of simulations that's suitable to his interests. So for instance, a call center representative, this is the screen you see on the side, he will experience the job for about 10 minutes. So it's a live experience of the job, performing calls, answering clients. We analyze his performance online. So it's performance analysis, basically the way he was performed, how he was performed, speed, accuracy, the process he was doing on the screen, and AI video and audio analysis, which provides us with a 36-degree of analysis with the specific ability, the compatibility of the person to perform the job. So at the minute the candidates finish the simulation, we will provide it with a Skillset profile, you see on the left, with two main scores. First of all, his ability to perform the job. And you can see here, each of every simulation we have 5 core tasks that the candidate need to be performed well enough, and there is a black line here matching him with a good enough worker to fit that job, and some extra data about his suitability to environment, to the cultural environment, physical environment, and any other aspect of things you need to work on in order to get a job or is a good fit. If he's a good fit, we're connecting him with companies looking to hire, and there's a specific score for each and every position in that space. If not, and here is an example of our data, we also provide him with opportunity to find a better suitable jobs for him based on his performance on that specific simulation. So, for instance, the customer service representative simulation will provide us with opportunity to match him with different positions in the market. What you see here is core tasks that are common to different positions in the market. This is our team. I'm the CEO and co-founder. Together with me, behind you, more my co-founder and teammate for more than a decade, and near our talented CTO. We are a team of 4 experts. I'm about to finish my PhD as occupational therapy. More and I established and managed the biggest project in Israel in diverse hiring, and here is coming from experience companies, startups as a CTO and VP R&D. We have great managers in terms of sales and marketing and HR and data analysts working with us. We're targeting the mass recruiting market, which is a space is not common in the HR tech space. And we're looking at that because there's a great need for solution there and for working hands. And we're looking at that, our business model, eventually we're a B2B company, companies paying us for tier of vetted leads and success fee of good hirings. This is our funnel. We're already working in the Israeli market. We have 4 paying customers, one of the lead innovative companies in Israel working with us, and we already have 2 pilots in the US market. And this is our funnel for the next ones. I want to emphasize our go-to-market instead of bringing job seekers in. So we are working as any HR company, social media, sourcing, e-recruiting platform, etc. But we are working, and this is a strategy we're building in Israel and already in the US market with a pilot. SkillSim is one of the companies we're doing that with companies and NGOs that provide service to diverse job seekers. They're using our platform for free as an assessment tool for job seekers, and then we reach a pool of candidates companies normally don't reach. This is our competitive landscape, and what I wanted to emphasize is that when you look at the HR tech space, there's a crowded space of solutions in terms of sourcing companies and sorting companies, and solutions around simulation that test compatibility of companies. But we are the only company that provide a solution which is a combination of sorting and sorting in the same product, and also with the ability to look at the job seeker in the eyes and provide him with the opportunity to a different approach of job seeking, which is much more transparent and inclusive also for him. Something happened with that, but this is our results from our companies we're working right now. We reduce cost of hiring with 30%. We increase retention rate with 20%, and 25% from our current hirings are of diverse job seekers, and the numbers there are changing in terms of population. As I said, we have paying customer pilots, and we already have users. We raised so far $100K, and we're looking at the seed right now. This is us. We are here to offer a game changer technology and to not be another product on the shelf. We are here to create a new solution that will offer a much more sustainable, inclusive workforce for all in the future of work. Thank you.
We're going to open it to judges for questions. Judges online and judges in person. Questions?
I have a question. About the diversity, 2 questions actually. One, of the customer base you have now, what is the driving metric or decision that they're looking at? Is it more the savings or the diversity? And the second question is, and we're all guilty of unconscious bias, but AI also creates biases. So how are you? I understand if you're creating a bigger pool of diverse applicants, then it will improve. But if it's the same amount of applicants, then that AI will probably be making the same mistakes?
Yeah, so I will start with the second question. We are looking at AI really at a respectful way, and we look at it carefully. So, and the way we look at the solution in our space, not everything about our platform is AI. So there is a matching algorithm and there is AI video analysis out there, but we are validating it with performance. And this is where the diversity or inclusive aspect of the platform comes from, because the performance-based part of the evaluation of the assessment is bigger than the one that's coming from the video analysis and video. And we also, and the voice, and we also validated really carefully with working with people with disability. We're working with groups that investigate this subject mostly in the UK, and we feel responsible for that. And in terms of your second question, both. So we companies approach us in terms of diversity, and some of the pilots we reached in the US start from diversity and open up. And there's company just telling us, sorry, bring us. We need more candidates. We need vetted, qualified people. So bring them over.
I can easily see the value in matching candidates. I wonder how, I mean, it seems to me very relevant for kind of simple jobs like call centers. I don't know how it can work in the tech market, for example, when jobs are much more complicated. The tasks are even, you need to measure creativity and other aspects of innovation or anything like that. So do you have any experience with profiles like that, especially because you mentioned that this is a target audience from company perspective?
Yeah. So we are looking at, when I'm talking about the massive career market, I'm looking at, again, as a go-to market, we're looking at entry-level jobs, but also entry-level jobs iTech. So it can be project managers, QA, developers, etc. And we have the ability, the data and the knowledge to create simulation for 60% of the market. So we are looking at e-recruiting platforms like Indeed as matching, and you won't source, I guess, high talent or, I don't know, lawyers or doctors there. So you probably in the first year won't use it in skill set, but we have the ability to simulate that and to learn with the machine learning how to expand our simulation opportunity, because they are out there. They're out there.
By the way, it seems to me that like a great service to give to universities, that before you are graduated, you can give directions or something like that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll do a quick intro to our next startup, but I just wanted to give a shout out wherever the camera is. We have two judges that have just joined remotely, CEO Omer from Comeet and Yael Nadi, partner at Meta. So next is Guy from Insurates, and he's actually zooming in to pitch. So we're switching to online.
Yeah, hey everybody. Can I actually present from my computer, Amy? And hi everybody, I'm Guy. I'm from Insurates. I'm calling in from New Jersey. Sorry, I couldn't make it. I was worried about parking. If I can share my own screen, Amy, that would be great. There we go. 1 second. Okay. Perfect. So as I said, I'm from Insurates. I have Ben, who's another co-founder, who's supposed to be in the. I'm hoping he's in the audience. We deliver transparency and simplicity to the world of health insurance, and our mission is to help employees be healthier by making health benefits much simpler and accessible to everyone everywhere. What we want to do is we're making it as easy to access your health benefits as it is to access your bank account and understand how much money is in your account. If anybody here ever read a health insurance plan, it's anywhere between 30 to 400 pages, and it's anything but simple or approachable. And it's leading to misunderstanding of medical coverage, meaning people paying for stuff that they're covered for, unnecessary health procedures because employees and people that are covered do not understand what are their alternatives, late detection of medical issues, which is a huge problem. For example, people not knowing that they're covered for a mammogram or a yearly physical, And then the last one is unawareness of care gaps, which is basically the gap between what we should be doing medical wise and what we are doing. Like I'll give you a quick example. Somebody who has diabetes probably knows that they have diabetes, but most of the times they are not aware that they're in high risk of losing their eyesight. So they should be getting a yearly exam of their eyesight to see if there's any deterioration. These are problems that, other than just costing billions and billions of dollars, they're just hurting people's health. And that's what we're trying to solve. And it also causes our employees to be frustrated, right? Because if an employee needs to understand their basic medical benefits, and to do that, they need to either call a call center or research or go online and try to figure it out, it makes them frustrated. And as you can see here in the quote, most of our employees, they're looking at us, their employers, to give them help and help them understand better and navigate their health plan. And that's not the future of work of telling them, hey, you should go and call a call center. And what I want to show is what we believe is the future of work for anything that's related with benefits. And I'll show you our actual platform, which already works. I'll show you a quick demo, so you understand what's going on behind the scenes. Our platform takes a health plan, could be anywhere between, again, 40 to 400 pages, analyzes it using artificial intelligence, NLP, and machine learning, and makes it accessible at any time, anywhere. And this is the platform, right? So I can ask any questions about either my health plan, or I can ask a question about what I'm going through right now and what am I covered for, or what are the relevant benefits. So for example, I can write, I am pregnant, what am I covered for? And if I ask the question, it will give me an answer based on my specific plan, or the employee specific plan. It will tell me, yes, you are covered for it. In network, there's no charge. I shouldn't go out of network, but I'm not covered. But then it also takes me to another section, which is related benefits, which are all the benefits that are relevant to my question. So I want to take you now back to the experience of an employee calling a call center and asking, hey, am I covered for X? Usually the answer is binary, 0 or 1, you're covered or you're not. Here we kind of understand the intent and give more benefit that sometimes, even most of the times, I would say, the employee didn't even know they're covered for. And here I can have all the relevant benefits, and I can click one of them, let's say anemia screening, and then understand that I am covered for it, no charge if I go in network, and there is no coverage if I go out of network. And then to complete the journey, I can click on nearby providers and see where should I go to get this specific procedure in network. And then to end the session, and kind of like the cherry on top, is more, and I don't need to write any of this down. I have all of this in a session summary where I can see everything I asked, what are the notes, where should I go do it, and every relevant information. And I can either email it to myself, or if I ask for a loved one, I can email it to them, or just print it right away. So it's a very intuitive platform. There's other ways to engage with the platform. You can see there's trending now topics, which again uses machine learning to understand what people are asking about with the same profile, or I can even choose from a list. Two things I want to note here. One, think about the data that is collected here. Today, back to our call center example, if an employee call a call center and say, hey, I'm feeling down lately, am I covered for a psychologist? And the answer is no, that information disappears. With our platform, if an employee asks about a psychologist and they're not covered for it, then the employer will get a notification that there is a coverage that they're missing, or there is a need that their employees need and they're not meeting with their health benefits. And they probably need to either expand their benefits or do something about it. Obviously, it's all anonymous, but there's a lot of data collection that's happening here that helps the employer provide better coverage to their employees. And then the second thing, think about this is 24/7. It doesn't have to be only during the working hours of the call center. It gives you on-the-spot answers, a very, very different experience than what would it be if I would call a call center. Going back to our deck here, what I mentioned right now, what I showed you guys, is just one part of the platform, the left-hand side. There's another whole aspect around proactive care. So our platform not only reactively answers employees' questions, it also lets them know about relevant preventive care benefits. For example, Women over 40 will get a notification to go get a mammogram. You get in September a notification to go get a flu shot, a yearly physical. We're constantly trying to make sure that we make employees healthier by using our technology and finding those algorithms that find what is the best preventive care benefit for you as an employee before the need even arise.
Guy, we've got about 30 seconds and I'm going to open it to questions from the judges.
Okay, just one last thing. It's kind of like value proposition. We save money by making your employees healthier. We save them time. We help improve their satisfaction by giving them this tool. And then the last thing, which is super important, we help you as an employer get the most out of your health plan. And then just one last thing is this is our first phase, right? We have a whole kind of world domination plan where we start with being the benefits platform for employers. We want to go after, then help insurance providers provide better customer service, then use our data and monetize it and help build better health plans, and eventually be the ones that are providing those tailored health products.
Great, thank you so much. I'm going to open it to questions, either from the judges online who can unmute themselves or judges in the room.
Guy, can you tell us a bit about the team?
Yes, so our team is, so I'm the co-CEO. We have Ben, who's also should be behind you guys, who's also the co-CEO. We have a doctor on our team who's our chief data officer. We have a CTO who built the platform, and we have another team of about 10 very talented individuals who are either developers, designers, who are all committed to our mission to make the world healthier.
Question from my side, Guy. Have you run into any objections with insurers? Because I can imagine that companies might be able to open up their health policies for their workers to you, so that you can unlock them in your platform and give access to their employees. But there's a reason why a lot of those policies are intransparent, right? So are health insurers always cooperative in this, or don't you need their collaboration?
That's a very good question. So first of all, I don't need their collaboration because we work directly with employers and they give us their health plan and we analyze it using our algorithm. But we did spoke to a few health insurance providers. If you would have asked me this question, 10 years ago, I would say, yes, you're completely right. The health insurance providers, their incentive is for us to not know what we're covered for. But there's been a paradigm shift in the last, I would say, 5 years, where insurance providers actually understand that if I'm healthier, it's going to be better for them in the long run. They're going to save money if I'm healthier. And you see this when they offer me a discount if I walk 6,000 steps a day, or if I stop smoking. I don't smoke, but if I do, or if I go to the gym. So there's actually this change in how insurance providers sees their users, of knowing, okay, if the users actually does that mammogram, and God forbid I found out about cancer in stage 1 and stage 4, it will not only make the person healthier and increase their chances of survival, but also save me as an insurance provider a lot of money.
Great. We have time for one quick fire question, if any be, or if not, we'll move on to the next startup.
Just last question about the go-to-market strategy.
Yes. So there's 150 million people in the US that are covered by their employer. About 100 million of them are what we call self-insured, between the employer is the one that's responsible for the medical expenses. That's our go-to-market. We're charging about $20 to $25 a year, which means it's a $2 to $2.5 billion market. And our go-to-market is through brokers, which no one else is targeting today. And they're very non-tech savvy, or they just have their plans that they offer. With our tool, they can differentiate themselves, they can provide much better service, and they have access to thousands of employers for each broker. And today we're already working with 2 brokers in the US and are gradually expanding, and also have some demand from other parts of the world as well.
Amazing, thank you. Okay, next up is Vital from Sorbet.
like we should chuck the presentation. I should karaoke instead. Few glasses of wine and I'm there. We good? Okay, awesome. Yep, not working. Good. Okay, awesome. Let me start by introducing ourselves for a minute. We're Sorbet. We've raised $6 million to date. We've actually closed our last round yesterday, so we're very excited about that. Both rounds were led by Viola Ventures. Our founding team is consisted of Rami Kasterstein, who's a serial entrepreneur, has built and sold several companies. Oh, sure. My co-founder, Elias, who's our chief product officer, most recently the CEO of an amazing ad tech company called Wonder, and myself, co-founder and CEO, most recently the chief marketing officer of Israel, the largest credit card and payments company in Israel. Other than us, there are 10 other people on the team out of Tel Aviv and New York. And what we do is basically we unlock time. We started out doing something entirely different, and sometime in the middle of COVID, as we were starting to speak to a lot of companies that we were already in contact with, we started hearing more and more about their problems with employees not taking time off. So apparently during COVID, requests for time off went down 49%. A lethal combination of travel restrictions and shelter in place, combined with the fact that people were working from home, no one was taking any time off. And this was a serious reason for concern, both from an HR perspective, but also from a financial perspective. Because as we know, when people don't take time off, this creates tremendous liabilities on the company's balance sheet. And of course, like many things, as we started researching the space, we found out that this is not a COVID-created problem, right? This was the case way before COVID. So the statistics are actually amazing. On average, employees in the US only take about 70% of their time off, leaving 30% of their time unused. And this creates annually, each year, from year to year, over $224 billion in liabilities on companies' books. Now, the reason why that happens is that the basic construct of how PTO works has not been disrupted since basically the Industrial Revolution, right? So each year, an employee gets an allocation of time off, doesn't use up all of their time, and then come January 1st, gets another allocation of time off, and then they don't use it, and then they get another allocation of time off. And usually that's even slightly accelerated with seniority and tenure. So basically that liability just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and people just have more and more and more accrued. And as we were starting kind of to explore why that is, we had some fascinating conversations, and I can go on for hours about it, but it basically comes down to the fact that there is a really, really, really difficult and messed up culture around taking time off. People self-regulate, they don't take this time, and they end up accruing time off. What we did with our solution, essentially, oh no. There you go. What we did is transition from taking time to spending time. And when we say spending time, there's a little word play there, because we both help you spend your time in that it's more impactful, more meaningful, and better for your well-being. But we also literally help you spend your time, and I'll explain. So what our product does essentially is take a lot of data points from a lot of different places, your HR system, your payroll system. We sync with calendars. We also analyze time management preferences and habits, and we also log in and are enabling companies to put in, but also learn as we go along, a lot of cadences and cultural aspects around when it's okay to take time off. So the first thing we were able to do is remove that friction of having to ask for approval from your direct manager. So under our suggested plan, all time off is automatically approved. Another thing that we did is we broke up the balance into smaller increments. So we sync with your calendar and we actually suggest micro breaks of several hours, micro vacations of several days, and more traditional vacations of regular time increments. What happened then is something pretty fascinating, because as we were starting to collect all this data, create these bespoke tailor-made time plans for each and every employee, put it on their calendar and say, hey, this is automatically approved, just take it, they started taking more time. So on average, we managed to get people to take 15% more time than before. But we also noticed that a lot of employees would still have accrued balances that are virtually unusable, that even under the most maximized and optimal time plans, even after all of these hacks that we did, they will still have accruals that they will never be able to actually use as time. And so our financial innovation is that we treat those portion of unusable days as if they were an accounts receivable held by the employee. If you think about it, our salary reflects an X amount of days that we are supposed to work, and then an X amount of days that we're supposed to be off. When we don't take up all of our time off, we've essentially worked extra days for which we haven't yet been paid. This is why it's a liability on the books. The company owes us money for this X amount of days that we've worked beyond what we were supposed to. What we do is we predict the portion of these days that you will never be able to use, and we factor them just as if they were an invoice. We buy them from the employee. So by doing that, instead of getting this money sometime in the future, we actually enable the employee to get it in their next payroll. We assume the liability on ourselves, and then the company, instead of owing the employee, they owe Sorbet. This presents 4 really amazing benefits for the employer. 1, they just gave an amazing cash out benefit for their employee without having to incur a cash expense. 2, they fixed the value of the liability on today's salary rather than the salary when that employee will leave the company in 2, 4, 5, 8 years from now. So it's a form of inflation protection, if you will. 3, when it's a liability against Sorbet and not with your employee, you can renegotiate, restructure, refinance. You can decide you want to pay it in a year and 3. You want to pay half in 6 months and the rest in 24 installments. You can really assume control on something you had 0 control over before, because beforehand, the only trigger was when the employee left, and you have no idea when that's going to happen and what's that value going to be. And the 4th is that because this liability originally, when it's versus the employee, has no timeline and has no price, it's not tax deductible. When it's a regular liability.
I'm going to open it up to questions from the judges.
Sure. It's important that sentence.
I have a question.
So it's fully tax deductible once it's a regular liability versus a deferred compensation liability versus the employee. Well, we're focused on the U.S., but it's true in Israel as well. Again, the logic behind it is it makes sense, because from the IRS perspective or from the tax regulation perspective, there is no certainty to it. You don't know when it's going to happen, and you don't know what the price is going to be. So how can you deduct it? Once there's a firm date and a firm price, then it's fully tax deductible. I should just mention 2 things. 1, liquidated days are loaded on our prepaid card. We provide a lot of benefits around health, wellness, travel, and hospitality through brand partnerships. We're part of a visa program that lets us have access to that. We're currently live. Traction is really exciting. And just one more thing around where we're headed. So basically what we've done is create a category. There are a lot of really amazing companies, some of whom have been, in the headlines recently. Oops. So payroll is very, very hot, but all of those companies, some of whom are very, very recent unicorns, all are around what happens between now and your next payroll. We're basically opening up a new category called deferred compensation optimization, which allows you to essentially go back to the future. Something that's already been triggered, not contingent about something that's going to happen in the future. And we unlock it and we allow you to enjoy it now instead of waiting to some point in the future to be able to enjoy it.
Great, thank you. I think there's a question from Omer online.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Sure, yeah.
Hey, first of all, very nice. I think that it can be very useful. Quick question surrounding the market. Like, I know that many companies limit the accrual days that employees can, accrue from one year to another. So I'm not aware of how big is the problem outside that. And the second one is a bit more about the business model. Where are you making your money?
So first question is a really great answer because I have a slide on that. 70% of companies accrue, and this is the capped market. So as you can see, a lot of companies just have non-effective caps, and that they're over 25 days. There's only about 22% or a little bit less, over 30% that have caps. Even when you do have caps and some of them are left on the table, there are still accrues. And again, we're talking about a $224 billion liability sitting on US businesses' books every year. In terms of our business model, we're like a kid in a candy store, basically. So we're experimenting with lots of things. Taking a cut from the tax deduction. There's the whole restructuring and liability refinancing component where we essentially provide debt to the employer based on their cash flow optimization and capital structure optimization. There's a huge question around discount for the employee. We currently don't discount the money for the employee. That's a possibility in the future. We also sit on a lot of money. Think of us as somewhat of a Starbucks app, right? Because a person loads up the money, they don't use it immediately. And then there's our relationship with our brand partnerships, right? We currently already enjoy some affiliations from that. And so across the value chain, there's a plethora of opportunities to take time. And our current model shows that we can have a very healthy 10% plus margin on our cost of capital.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, next is Daniel from Tigam Recruiter. Thank you.
Hey, it's so exciting to see so many people once again. So thank you for joining. Yeah. So hey everybody, I'm Daniel Golovetzky. I'm the founder and CEO of Tigam Recruiter. What we do is we're a talent intelligence platform. We help companies grow faster, cheaper, and more efficiently. So just like every other recruitment company, we understand that it's all about the people, right? So I'll start by telling you about the team. As I mentioned, my name is Daniel. I'm the CEO and the CTO of the company. I come from about 12 years of experience in the tech background. I've hired multiple people, engineers and managers from companies like DoubleVerify, Endure, and Outbrain. And with me, Yochai Shilon, right there in the back, comes from a business background. He's been in a business background for about 16 years, helping companies grow, companies mostly in the fintech area. People like Funnel, Tech Financials, and more. So let's talk a bit about what we do and what the problem is. Obviously, everybody are hiring and it's hard, right? It's super hard to hire. And talking about the numbers, we see that it divides into three major pillars. First one is scarcity. Organizations are just used to run with understaffed capacity, right? About 50% of the world's organizations, they have more work to do than employees to actually be making it. They just got used to it. Second one is duration. On average, it takes about 6 months to hire a person. This means 6 months of resources, energy, and focus from hiring managers and HR department just to find a person for the company. And finally, it's super expensive, right? It costs between 8 to 30% of the annual fee of the employee just to find a person. This includes job boards and internal energy and focus and headhunting, obviously. And that's bringing us to a very high number of costs for every organization, small or big. Just to give you a rough example of how it looks like globally, There are currently about 80,000 open full stack engineers position in the US alone. The average annual salary of an engineer stands on about $120,000 a year. So if we take the 80 to 30% of the annual fee, it brings us to about, well, don't see it, but $2 billion annually just to hire full stack engineers in the US. And remember, we're just talking about one single position and one specific region. So how do we solve it? We split our solution into three major steps, right? The first one is reconnaissance. We plug into about 150 data sources to learn everything we can learn about candidates. This includes LinkedIn, Stack Overflow, GitHub, Kaggle, and a bunch of others. So we make sure that every piece of data online, we know about each and every candidate. Second part is what we call candidate insights. This is our special sauce, right? We run a bunch of deep tech and machine learning algorithms to learn much more subtle nuances about candidates, right? So if we look at Yaniv, we can understand that they have a high tendency to be promoted, and we can mostly learn about the likelihood to move, right? So if we speak to Yaniv today, what are the chances that he's going to be making a move soon? Other than that, mostly popular with our US customers, we have our diversity score, where we can score candidates based on their gender, ethnicity, and age. And after we have the reconnaissance part and the insights part, we then move into our final step, which is the reach out, right? So we plug into corporates and organizations' Gmail accounts and Outlook accounts. We reach out to candidates based on emails, text messages, and emails. We do it in a sequence-like manner, so we optimize for responses. And we make sure that we send the first message after the second one and third one to make sure that candidates respond us in a high rate. This brings us to what we actually provide to our customers, right? So we have four major advantages, right? The first one is high response rates, right? The industry talks about the standard of 13% of response rates. This means that if we reach out to 100 folks, 100 candidates, about 13 to 15 of them will somehow reply to us. With our systems and with our intelligence, we bring it up to about 72%. Second, we're a fully automatic solution, right? So an HR person or a recruiter, they just work 8-9 hours a day. Since we're a fully automatic solution, we work 24 hours a day and we just don't stop, right? Which brings us to a lot of more reach outs to candidates and eventually to a lot of more applications. Both of them obviously reduce the time to hire and the cost to hire. So our average customers pays about $500 to $800 just to find a person, where the standard in the industry stands at about $15,000. And it brings us to about 1 month of average time to hire, where the standard is about 6 months. So let's talk a bit about the tech, right? We're not going to deep dive into here, but there are a few things that I want you to leave here with. First one is we run on AWS, meaning that we're infinitely scalable and we can serve different customers, right? We have small customers, small startups, and larger organizations, both via the same SLA, the same quality of service. Second is that we put a big focus on privacy, right? So we make sure that nobody has access to our data and our candidates' data. So we run in a double private kind of a cluster or micro cloud. And finally, as you can see from the diagram, we run in kind of a modular operation, right? So our IP, our special sauce, as I mentioned, is our candidate insights and things that we learn about those candidates. We can run them in an entirely separate use case with entirely separate application, which brings us to what we can do with it, right? If we know how to score candidates based on their likelihood to move, it only makes sense to run it on an existing organization and existing employees to make sure that we decrease the churn rate and the turnover of those employees. So I'll share a bit about what we've done.
30 seconds, and then I'll open it to judges, yeah.
Okay, so real quick, we did 25 pilots with hyper-growth companies. All of them hired people with us in a very cheap way and a fast way. We then partnered up with 2 resellers and distributors, people who advise to other companies how their HR should look like. We then had 2 design partners. First one is the Shabak, the Israeli FBI, and the second one is NI, Natural Intelligence, and we help in a very kind of a close way. We partner up with 3 ATSs, companies that manage recruitment. We then spoke to bigger companies, folks like JFrog and Fiverr and SAAC, and we currently speak to them about integrating with their internal kind of a TA department. And finally, we have three larger organizations that talk to us about the technology and about how they can use it inside their core products. First one is Power2Fly, a company that tries to help female engineers globally to kind of reach to the market. Second is Oracle and Workday, which are pretty similar. They have what they call HCM platforms, human capital management platforms. And we speak to them about kind of scoring and reporting their diversity and likelihood to move inside the organization. Thanks.
Amazing. I'm going to open it to judges. So judges online or here.
Thank you. How do you see the difference between you and skill set and opportunities to collaborate there?
I think skill set is awesome, right? I know Maya for a while now. I think that what they do, they try to find the right match based on your actual skill set, right? If you're declaring that you're a great, I don't know, CTO, VP product, we can know it, right? But we can't know about your motivation or teamwork. I think this is where my solution comes more in play and can see that you're actually be able to kind of perform the job, right? We find you and she kind of makes sure that it matches. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Hi, can I ask something, Ido? Yeah. Hi, how easy will it be to replicate your technology? You talked a lot about your technology.
Can you repeat, sorry?
How easy will it be to replicate it?
It's hard. It consists of a few different steps, right? The first one is data. We have about 150 million profiles online, and we just keep growing in a few millions every day. So data is a big player here. And secondly is the machine learning piece, right? And the deep learning piece, where we score things based on, well, first data, right? Second, the models, and third is the subject matter expertise, right? Because we've been hiring people, for so long, and we have tremendous advisors in our board. They know what to look at when they hire for a person, right? So with them, combined with the machine learning piece we have, we're able to get that kind of a hard to replicate model and operation.
Who owns the data?
Who owns it? The internet, right? We only work with public data sources, right? Only data that is absolutely public, right? GitHub profiles and LinkedIn profiles and Kaggle and meetups. So the users own it, then the internet owns it, and then we just look at it from sidelines.
One last question. The talent acquisition of filtering that. What kind of tool do you provide in order to tackle that challenge?
So I would beg the difference, right? Because the standard way of kind of hiring people is first to post it online, right? And once you say I'm looking for a CFO, then everybody will apply, right? I have no idea about finances or taxes, but I will apply because I can, right? And this creates much more overhead on the TA departments and internal kind of teams. With us, we specifically target the people that at least on the based on their public data, they're qualified to do that job.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up is Rachel from Sage. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Rachel Kaplan. I'm co-founder at Sage. When we came to this future of work challenge and this question, we're trying not just to think of products or solutions that are going to enhance or optimize work as we know it today. We're trying really to think about the fundamentals that can address the root causes of the problems that are inherent in work and in retirement. There's this concept today that you reach the age of 65 or 66, and then whether by choice or by force, you enter this chapter where work no longer exists. And that perhaps worked okay for a while when people weren't expected to live that much beyond 65 or 66. But life expectancy is continuing to increase. Across the OECD, the average is already at 79. This means that people have a lot more in the tank left to give, but not only that, 63% of people simply can't afford to retire or to live on their pension or on what they've been able to put aside. Because think about it, in the States alone, 3/4 of people haven't managed to save $250,000 to put aside. This means that if they live just until the average of 79, they've got less than $19,000 a year. So this is why we are really trying to tackle this question with the intention not just to optimize what already exists, even though those tools are very important. What we're trying to do is actually to create a whole new and more inclusive work category altogether. Sage is the world's first gig economy platform for retirees. We're offering personalized and affordable learning and social experiences that are hosted by expert retirees. In a nutshell, it's a great way to meet people, to learn or to master a new skill, and at the same way to be part of reimagining a retirement that can be far more financially secure, flexible, and enriching at the same time. There are 4 fundamental problems when it comes to retirement. There's financial insecurity, loneliness, the retirement blues, where depression tends to increase by 40%, and ageism in the workplace. Now, these problems are systemic, and the only way we can possibly address these problems is to completely redesign the relationship between work and retirement. Now, this is about so much more than trying to make retirement more fun, because we are very acutely and personally aware of the toll and the physical dangers of depression, loneliness, and financial stress. So what we're trying to do is to build a proactive solution that is going to change all of that. Now, part of this, I guess, is a bit personal for us as a team as well. This is why we built this company. We have people very close to us who are barely able to scrape by on their pension. People who simply are not able financially to afford to retire at all. And the exceptionally frustrating part of this is that these people are often supremely talented, intelligent, often quite successful in their field. But at the same time, they find themselves in a predicament that's almost impossible to get out of. So we're trying to change the conversation. We're trying to change the paradigm of how we look at technology and aging. We're trying to turn the conversation around so that we look at retirees as a valuable resource, as an asset that we're able to learn from. And in doing so, we're building this proactive solution that will make the golden years a lot more golden. And at the same time, in practice, Sage is a solution that invites people who are already in their retirement or who are nearing that stage to monetize the valuable life experience that they have, which is based on a lifetime's worth of accumulated knowledge and skills. So it's funny because it seems obvious. The gig economy and freelancers are the fastest growing category in the workforce. And we have basically just brought the gig economy to the aging population, which, as we know, is the fastest growing demographic in the world. So lo and behold, there is an appetite for these two massive markets to join together. There are other players in the market, but there are none other that have the same value proposition that we are offering for both sides of this two-sided marketplace. And at the same time, there is nobody who is delivering both a social and financial bottom line for both the retirees and the younger users. One thing to note is that Sage was designed and launched with user-friendly features in mind so that our experiences are not just affordable and personalized and convenient, but they're accessible and they're inclusive as well. So far, we have hosted over 500 experiences. I don't know if that's updated. And we have had everything from cooking classes taught by a Moroccan grandmother. We've had chess being taught by a Russian grandmaster, and really everything in between. We've done a pilot. We are working with the city of Tel Aviv and Social Finance Israel. We're about to launch as well, hopefully soon, in the city of Melbourne as well. We have Sages coaching users on how to build their nonprofit, how to budget better, parenting advice. It really comes back to this question that we asked at the very beginning, which is, who says that money can't buy life experience? And it's the same question we asked at the beginning. Why is there a magical number that a person comes to and all of a sudden they don't have a reason or a way to continue to work meaningfully? Just a few notes about our team. My co-founder unfortunately had to travel overseas a couple of days ago for a family emergency, so I'm sure she and her family are online. Esther launched Sage in March 2020, which, as she likes to say, was perfect timing to found a company. And basically what COVID did was it forced Sage from being in person only to being online. But this really just opened up a whole world of opportunities for what this concept can really do. And we're moving towards a hybrid between in-person and online interactions as well. Myself, I'm from Australia originally, as you can probably hear. I've been here for just over 5 years. I'm from Perth. Most people haven't heard of it, it's okay. And I've been working with the Israel-Australia Chamber of Commerce for the last 4 years. And part of that is I've got to meet and hear and work with and advise and support many brilliant entrepreneurs here. So it's now time to be on the other side of the table, which is a lot more intimidating. But one thing I will say is I've been in charge of sort of the banking and the finance activity there. And there is a huge question around how this fits into the existing pension system. So I'll just draw your attention. We have a growing advisory board as well. So Dr. Sabel is part of the Future of Work group at the World Economic Forum. And that's just one example of the people that we're bringing on board to really help advise us on how to build this ecosystem around us. Because we know we are coming into a very, very large, very complex, very bureaucratic, very broken system. And if we're going to come and disrupt and improve it, then we are going to need really good people who believe in the concept, believe in us, believe in the vision. And Ido, of course, who is our CTO, he was in Talpiot, which I think tells you everything you need to know about his technical knowledge and skills. So I think I'll leave it there if there are any questions.
Yeah, I'll open it to the floor for questions.
Can you explain that B2B to C?
Sure. This part's very exciting, yeah. Part of what we were actually talking about earlier was this idea of we aren't just trying to build a company. We very much see ourselves as a disruptive player in the market with a true north to create more opportunity and to improve quality of life for older people. But at the same time, we know we're coming into a world that already exists and we need to figure out how we fit into that. As a result, we aren't just looking at a B2C model. So at the moment, it has been B2C. We haven't put a cent into marketing. Everything that we have built is entirely organic at this point. People find us because there's obviously a search and a need out there. Building this ecosystem around us is going to make sure that we are able to reach as many people in a way that fits within the constraints of the system that we're trying to play in at the same time as we're trying to change it. Okay, part of what we were talking about earlier is this challenge of people who are receiving a state pension to all of a sudden be earning extra income. There are so many evolving conversations around how gig economy workers are paid, their rights, and we know that in order for us to do that well and to execute that effectively in the way that we plan to, we need people around us to make sure that we have the partnerships in place to make sure that everything goes ahead. So these are the sorts of partnerships we're in the process of building across all of these different pieces, because our vision will be that when you are nearing retirement or already there, Sage is the natural place that you go. So we need to have our feelers out in all the other parts of the ecosystem there. Hope that answers the question.
I'll mute myself. Ravi online has a question. Ravi, did you want to ask?
Yeah, I got the answer right now, so it's okay.
Okay. Then I'll switch it to Omar. I know he had a question too.
How do you see your target market? Are you gonna focus on Israel and Australia and the US or other places? And another question surrounding the product itself. Is it intrinsically different than other gig marketplaces that connect between different sides of the table?
Great question. So the first question, just remind me what the first question was, because I wanted to answer that first.
The market, where are you going to focus?
Great. So like most tech companies, Israel isn't the first market that we are approaching. That said, where there is an opportunity to sort of take the low-hanging fruit and get some, wins on the board, that has happened here in Israel. There is so much going on here, so we're trying to take advantage of the people and those things around us, whether it's competitions or opportunities. We're looking at the English-speaking market. Australia is obviously on the radar for us, for me in the background that I come from. The States as well, because a lot of the network, particularly through the advisory board that we're building there, is also there. We have already, and as I said, we haven't marketed Sage at all. We already have Sages across Australia, New Zealand, the States, across Europe, in Israel, in Canada, just because they find us. There are people obviously out there searching for something like this. And the second question?
The product differentiation.
Great. Yep. So I can actually try go back. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay. Basically, we are the only solution out there that offers both a social experience out there. There are other gig economy platforms that don't offer that. There are others where you are able to be with more than one person in the class, but it's not necessarily interactive. We're also the only platform that offers follow-on classes, so it isn't just like a one-off engagement that you have. It can be, but there's the option to continue and to really build a relationship there. In addition, this hybrid of in-person and online, I think, also really sort of sets us apart. But the main thing and the crux of this, there are gig economy platforms out there, but there are none that are looking to monetize life experience as a tradable commodity. And that's what we are trying to do.
Last but not least, we have Omri from Flexity, and he is online. Omri, I'm going to give him access. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Perfect. Hi, Omri. We're just adding you in, and then we'll start.
Hello.
Hello, we hear you.
So, okay, you cannot see me yet,
Wow.
right?
We cannot see you, but we can hear you.
We can see and hear.
Yes, great. We see your screen. Okay, fire away.
Can you see my screen? Yeah, can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Great. So, hello everyone. My name is Omri, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Flexity. So, Flexity is the platform for happy and engaged employees. And let's talk about everyday's life for a moment. They're pretty packed, not to say even hectic. Think about yourself and even people you know. So we all have the feeling that we're fully booked, right? Like 24/7. Kids, COVID-19, daily meetings, and more. And this stressful and even, let's say, unhealthy lifestyle is circle waiting to be broken. We all have different needs, and we all struggle to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And this is where Flexity comes in. So we actively guide each person to live a well-balanced life. And the the pain is that companies lose over $400 billion due to the lack of productivity, illnesses, and work-related stress of their employees. On the other hand, employees with thriving well-being lifestyle are happier and have a 35% low turnover rate. And this is the reason why over 100 companies already use Flexity with thousands of well-being activities for their employees in Israel and abroad. Flexity presents the next generation of employees' health and happiness, focusing on 6 pillars of well-being and personalization for each employee. We do it differently. We learn and analyze the needs of each employee based off our unique 6 pillars of well-being model. And the basic principle of this model is first to understand that well-being is not just physical workout or even meditation. It's much more. It's also your social connections, environment, the environment you live or work, your spiritual beliefs, and more. And when you add all these effects together, this is what makes a person wellness state. So how does it work? The first step of the user onboarding will include an interactive questionnaire video using social and cognitive psychology elements to get a better picture of the user well-being status and needs. The second step is using our science-based measurement tool, analyzing and positioning the person within these 6 pillars of well-being. So here we can see, for example, mental or in social are less than the average score. And then the magic happens. The personalized matches with third-party complementary platforms and Flexity's own experts. We have over 250 experts. And AI, we can create the perfect personalized one-stop shop for the end user and for the company as well. just to make it more clear, so Shift, for example, it's a platform that creates VOD content for ClassPass, super professional. V is a platform for volunteering that we're gonna collaborate with, and Student Name provide 80 live activities per week when we already work with them. So we've used the aggregated data to provide real insights and call to actions to improve well-being status of the company. And for example, we can see here that 30% of employees suffer from stress. So the company can immediately book a specific workshop that will give the employees the right tools to reduce stress. And this is the team. Matan Sur and I serve. Matan is my co-founder and CTO, and Matan and I served together in the commando of the Air Force. So we know each other for over 12 years. Yuval Eitan is our amazing Chief Product Officer. He brings with him over 10 years of experience as a product manager and UX expert. And Yuval was our mentor in High Road Accelerator, and he decided to join and become part of the team. I'm bringing with me experience in the wellness industry, B2B sales, and business development and entrepreneurship. And Roy Bendo is Roy and his team leading the science method behind the Flexity product. Let's speak about our holistic solution. So we start with a bottom-up solution. We start with the employee. We learn each user, personalize on-demand experiences using machine learning and AI. Our data-driven and science-based platform leads to optimize employees' company's overall well-being. And the results provide the company with a one-stop shop of right decisions and better ROI. This year, we are making our first steps in the US market. By the end of the second quarter, we'll kick off with the first B2B2C collaboration in the US market, and we have few first US clients. By the end of the third quarter, we will have a validation of our holistic measurement in our product. And we'll have at least 10 paying clients using our recommendation data-driven platform. And the last quarter will go to $2 million seed round in order to expand to the US market. We will start with $500,000 safe to finalize and test our holistic product MVP. And thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to open it to online or judges here for questions. Any questions here or online? Oh.
Hey, I was wondering about your data source is the questionnaire a user is answering at the beginning of using the platform. And also, how do you encourage employees to take action based on your recommendations?
So can you repeat the first one, please?
What is your source of data? Are you getting your data from the questionnaire? You said you start with a questionnaire. Seemed like a video questionnaire at the beginning of using the platform.
Yeah. So this is like the future product, what I just presented, and this is that will be like the first point when we start to get data. Then we'll use the data when depends on the employees, the users. So if, for example, they watch VOD, they volunteer, they do meditation, we can recommend them what to do, and with their actions, then we can understand if they're in the right path for balance. And the second one, what was it about?
How do you encourage users to take actions based on your recommendations?
Yeah, so first of all, the recommendation is the first recommendation is for the company. When we understand better the users, the employees, how they use what they prefer. So then we give recommendations to the HR how to book online events or on-site events that suits to the company's wish or to employees' wishes, and we will use gamification, of course, to encourage them or to, for example, to understand groups of interest inside the companies, and so then we can match between some groups from different departments also in the company.
Great. Online judges? I saw some hands up.
Hi, I was a bit confused with your traction overview because there were a lot of very impressive brand names, but on your last slide you mentioned just a few pilot customers. So are the other ones free test customers with great data feedback, or how should I read this?
Yeah, so we have two business models. One is a subscription per employee, which is new. So we launched it like 2 to 3 months ago. And we have a pay-as-you-go model. So let's call it the marketplace. Over there, we have over 100 companies that still like book from the marketplace. So it could be companies like Monday.com that every week they have walkouts in the company, for example, and also companies like Wix that they decide to do once in a while, like a lecture or something like that. So in terms of data, we don't have enough data because we just launched it like 2 to 3 months ago. Yeah.
Great. One last quick fire question. I think maybe Omer had a question.
No, I just didn't lower my hand. Sorry for that.
Okay. Any quick fire questions?
All right.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. That was number 6 and last one. At this point, I want to thank again the startups. It was great seeing you all, and I think we're going to have a very hard job right now to decide how to go on. So I'm going to ask you to go and follow Shachar upstairs for some more thank yous and some feedback from you guys.